Hi people, in this tutorial video I will be explaining some of the things we have to see in the next few classes and revise some of the ones we have already seen. For instance, in this first slide we have the present perfect, okay? For finished or unfinished actions, you know that the present perfect has a connection between the present and the past, all right? There is always a present consequence or an action which has not finished. For unfinished actions, we express how long we have been doing something, all right? We have, for example, I have known somebody for 3 years or since 1994, since 2010, since July, for 10 years, for a few hours. It hasn't got to be so long, right? Then in the case of finished actions, we talked about life experiences, or I have been to a place, or I have never eaten something. The unfinished time words, for instance, are this week, today, this month, this year. Time expressions that indicate that the action is not over. There is a present result, okay? For example, I've lost my keys, so I can't start my car or get into my house. So there is a present consequence, okay? I can see the situation, or you can say, I have fallen, I have just fallen. So you are on the floor. And this is connected to news or recent events, as the example you've got there. The Queen has given a speech. You use just, yet, already, or recently for finish actions, or the actions which have finished a few minutes ago, or I see the consequence. In the case of the present perfect continuous or progressive, what you have to remember is that we use have or has, always been, and the verb with ing. And let's see when we use that. Well, you have four situations. Duration from the past until now. For example, I have been working in New York for 5 years, so we put emphasis on the duration of the action, how long we have been progressing on that action. Actions happening recently. She has been working a lot recently, probably because she has to work extra hours, or because there is a lot of work at the office, all right, or at the university. Actions that recently stopped. I have been working all day, I'm tired, so I'm going to take a nap, all right? Or it has been raining, so you can see that it's wet. So the action of raining is not that happened once, but it was progressive and continuous. And for temporary actions, for example, we have been visiting our family for the past week. So it means that we have been going to their house or houses during many days, progressively, but that is not usual. Here we have a chart that shows, well, it's a bit in English and a bit in Spanish, all right? The present perfect simple focuses on the result. For example, she has sung 10 songs, okay? 10 songs are finished. There is some kind of ending or closure. I've given the dog a wash, so the dog is clean, all right? But probably you can see that the house is wet, or my dog is wet. Then there is a result. I washed the car, okay? So you can see that the car is clean, probably before it was dirty. Then in the case of continuous, we talk about duration, okay? The focus is on the duration of the action. She has been singing for an hour, so I went to her concert, and if she has sung 10 songs, 10 songs are finished, but then I put emphasis on time and they use a continuous form because I say that she has been singing for 1 hour. I've been giving the dog a wash, okay, for some time. And then the other is I've been cleaning the car, all right? And this is what I have been doing for a while. Probably the best example comes here when you see that in the case of the present perfect simple, you give the idea of completion, right? And in the present perfect continuous, the focus is on the activity that is unfinished. For example, I have painted the living room blue, so the focus is on the result, on the finished result. The activity is finished, but we can see the result now at the moment, so probably it has been painted maybe an hour ago or the day before. And I have been decorating the house this summer. The focus is on the action, on decorating, and the action is probably unfinished. It's similar to the example I gave you in class when you say, I have, I don't know, I have read 10 pages, so the pages are complete, and or I have read the whole book, I can give it back to you. But the action is recent, but it's finished. And on the other hand, we can say, I have been reading all morning, or I have been reading for days, and we don't know if the action is finished or not. Well, that would be the first topic that we have been discussing in class. Then we go to the next one. That is future perfect tense. It's future perfect simple, all right? It's something that we have seen in the first few lessons we had. And here we talk about, well, subject, will or won't, always have, okay? You have to remember that it's not had or haven't, it's only have. And the verb goes in the past participle. For example, he will have done it by this evening. He will not have done it by this evening, all right? So it's always will or will not or won't, have, and the past participle. Let's go through the usage. We talk about an action that will finish before a certain time in the future. That means, for example, by 8 o'clock tomorrow, I will have taken off for Japan. That means tomorrow by 8, the flight will have left, right? Para un cierto tiempo del futuro, la acción ya habrá sido terminada. Or, for instance, you can talk about university by 2024, 23, I will have graduated by the end of the year, by the end of the month, all right? You set the limits. And in general, the time expression is by tomorrow, by 8 o'clock, by the end of the year, or in 5 years' time, in 2 years' time, in 1 hour time, all right? Then another usage is to talk about an action that will be completed before another event takes place. She will have learned Chinese before she moves to China. So when she arrives in China, she will have taken lessons. And to express a conviction that something happened in the near past. The guests will have arrived at the hotel by now. What we will do now is to, well, there we have a few more examples. You will have this presentation uploaded next to this, the link of this video. Then we have the future continuous, all right? And the future continuous is made up of will, be, and the ing, all right? For example, I will be running, I will be watching TV, I will be attending university, I will be having a class, all right? Will or won't plus be plus a verb with ing, all right? So if you see the chart, you can discover or find out that yesterday at this time I was dancing. At the moment, I am dancing. And this time tomorrow, I will be dancing. That means that probably if the time is 8 or 8:30, I will be dancing from 8 to 9 or from 8:30 to 10:30, all right? I take a moment of this future time and I see what I will be doing, which progressive action I will be doing at that time, okay? Which does not mean that the action will be finished as what we said before in the future perfect. That means that the action will be in progress, all right? So you say, for instance, this time tomorrow, or this time next week, or at 9 tomorrow, or in 2 weeks, or in 5 years, etc. Okay? For example, actions in progress at certain time in the future. This time next week, I will be traveling to Paris. So I will be getting on the plane, all right? Tomorrow at 10, you will be doing your exam, right? So the exam starts probably at 9:30, and when I see you at 10, you will be doing the test. When you get off the train, I will be waiting at the platform. Then, on the other hand, we can talk about future plans and arrangements. You say, we'll be coming next week. We are coming next week. I will be leaving tomorrow at 8. All right? So you have to bear in mind that these two futures are completely different. One is to state an action that will be finished at a certain time in the future perfect, and the other refers to an action that will be in progress in the certain future. Okay? Well, there we have a little summary in Spanish, all right? Future continuous, cuando se utiliza para expresar una acción futura en un momento específico. For example, at 7, I will be buying my groceries. And number 2, indicar que una acción futura se interrumpe por otra. They will be cooking when you arrive. And then the third option is that presentar suposiciones que podrían suceder en el futuro o incluso en el presente. In 10 years or in 10 years time, I will be owning a flying car, right? If we think that flying cars will exist, all right? It's a prediction. Okay, there you have another summary that you can read with the different usages. And finally, we go to the passive voice. That is something that you have seen in level 6, but now we include a few more things, all right? What you have to bear in mind is that there you have an example with all the tenses, which is very clear because you use the same sentence and you transform it into the different passive tenses, all right? When we use the passive voice, we put the focus on the object and the action, not necessarily on the agent. That means the person doing the action becomes redundant sometimes or unimportant in most of the cases, okay? So we put the object into, we change the object to the subject position, but this object will not perform the action, okay? That is why what we do is to transform the verb, adding a verb to be, all right? So, for example, if we have, they take the photos, then we move the photos, that is the direct object, to the subject place, all right? And we include the verb to be. The photos is plural, the sentence is in the present, so we say the photos are taken. And the verb, the main verb of the sentence, the one that indicates the tense, will take the form of past participle, all right? Suppose that you say, they are taking the photos, present continuous. The photos are being, representing taking, and then taken again, all right? And we go through all the different tenses you can have, including the past perfect, the future continuous, the future perfect, okay? But also the infinitive, the perfect infinitive, and the gerund if necessary, okay? Another important thing is that we can use modal verbs, all right? The modal verbs, for example, the last one we've got here, she must deliver the letters. Must, after must or after could, may, might, should, etc., we have to use the infinitive verb. That is why when we turn it into the passive, we use the letters, okay? Must, can, should, etc., any modal verb that we want to use. Then we use be that represents the infinitive, and then delivered, that is a verb in the past participle, all right? The same as when we use will, all right? So I hope this has been clear and we can discuss any further doubt in the presential class. Well, I will be leaving the link of the video and the link of the presentation. Thanks for listening.